today's guest is Nathen Aaren, and Nathen is one of those people that you spend about 5 minutes with and you feel like you've known him your whole life. He is absolutely amazing, and he helps heart-centered creatives plan, fund, and build their dream lives and dream businesses. He's worked with Fortune 500 companies and Grammy Award-winning artists, including the Olympics, Adidas, CBS Sports, Lil Wayne, and Ray-Ban, and now currently produces 2 podcasts, which charted #1 on all of iTunes. He shares his amazing story of coming out with a big dream to LA, becoming homeless, and rising up again. So you will really enjoy hearing his story. You'll resonate with a lot of it. And I'm so excited to bring you Nathen Aaren. Well, welcome, Nathen, to the Rise Up For You podcast.
Hey, Leanne. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, super excited for our conversation today. So let's dive in. Share a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm so incredibly honored to be here. I really appreciate getting to share my message and what I feel is a really important message to your audience. It really means a lot to me. And what I want to do today is I want to basically challenge you, if you're listening to this, whether you're driving in your car or listening while you're working out, with a few things. And why don't we start with just giving ourselves a big hug? So yeah, that's something that we don't do very often.
That's
and that
awesome.
I've been trying to do every single
hugs.
morning. Yes, we love hugs. And just, there's something to really be said about just giving yourself some self-love. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to start off with that. A little bit about myself. I grew up, and by the age of 15 years old, I had my own business, working out of my bedroom, recording music artists. I had a little setup in my room, recorded some artists, and by the age of 17, I saved $10,000, which is like $1 million at that age, right?
Right, wow.
Yeah. And so, I thought I was going to be super successful, moved to LA before I was 18 years old, interned with Simon Cowell of American Idol, Wu-Tang, Paul Oakenfold, all these big people, and I thought I was going to be a successful, famous millionaire in no time, right? But that's not what happened. Life hit me upside the head, as it does to people, teaches us some lessons, stretches our souls, and I ended up being homeless. I ended up getting taken advantage of in Los Angeles and had to run away to the Bay Area, and was trying to make things happen, but I ended up sleeping out of my car for about 4 months. And over the course of that time, I basically came to the conclusion and the realization that if I, an ambitious, motivated, driven, heart-centered, loving person, could only get a human being to write me a check to pay for my rent, my bills, my groceries, whatever that is, so that I could have like a runway of time, say 2 years, 3 years, to focus on what I want to do, then I could be super successful. It's like, I believe that one of the biggest challenges that we face, and something that my heart just really calls out to serve in this world with, is helping people who want to be entrepreneurs on that journey without having to consider money or revenue or income for the first 1 to 3 years, right? Really digging deep into the passion from the perspective of, say, a program, like a project, a passion project, or a mission or a vision, and actually considering it a business, but not focusing on revenue for a while. And in order to do that, I realized that people needed funding. And so the conclusion of the very quick version of my story is that I basically, while I was homeless, realized that that was a solution I wanted to achieve. And on my first try, I had what I considered beginner's luck and landed a $1.4 million investment for a music artist. And then I continued to do that more and more on and on. I got an $80,000 investment for Arsenio, a gentleman who had a personal brand and a clothing line, things of that nature. Another $10,000 a month to my friend Sarah, who runs a nonprofit called Elsa. And it just kept going and going. And I realized that really, society's been feeding us a lie that we have to grow up. We go to school, we figure out, do we want to become an employee or run a business? Mm-hmm. And really, that is the kind of old way of seeing things. But the new way of seeing things, as we're seeing regenerative business models and triple bottom line B Corps and all these, beautiful, sustainable opportunities, we're realizing that the real new way, from my perspective, is to get funding to spend 1 to 3 years getting your rent, your bills, your gas, your groceries paid for. That's your personal expenses, but also your business expenses, like if you want to buy gear, if you want a marketing budget, if you want to advertise, if you want, whatever it is that you could need, hiring people. You need that time to be able to build your baby before you put it out there in the world. And the analogy that I like to use is you wouldn't birth a baby into the world and then go tell it as an infant to go out there and figure life out, right? You give it time. There's a gestation period, so to speak, of you raising that child before you put it out there in the world to take care of itself. So the same should go for your baby, your business. You should give it 1 to 3 years to really focus in. So I have a few solutions on how people can do that for people who are a little bit more risk takers and those who are a little bit less of a risk taker and want to be really secure and safe. And my heart just really goes out to anyone who's taking that entrepreneurial journey, because you're basically raising your hand and saying, give me the tough stuff. I'm going to go out there into the world and create a solution that doesn't exist. And I really believe that there is a solution, that there is a kind of liaison, like a connection point between the people who are driven, motivated, world changers, and the heart-centered, loving kind of hippie type of folks who just like to, meditate all day and do yoga. So that's me.
Wow. Well, that is a lot. You're doing amazing work in the world. So much has come up when you was telling your story there for me. And I think it's true, exactly what you said. And I never really thought about it like that before. When you're trying to start a business, it's like you're ping-ponging between the dream and the passion, and I've got to pay my rent. I've got to feed my kids. I've got to, so I think some people, they have the dream, but are never really able to execute on it because they get stuck in the, in the minutia of the job either they're trying to leave, or because of the fear, a lot of times too, on the financial side.
100%. Yeah. I really feel that when someone is going from a job to a career, which is usually the case, right? Like how many of us go straight out of high school and immediately are successful entrepreneurs, right? We usually have to get a job. And that was my big mistake, is I was so bullheaded. I was like, no, I will not get a job. So for years and years, I wouldn't just get a dang job so that I wasn't homeless, right?
Right.
I think that I'm excited to share some of those solutions and help people who might be going through those challenges right now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you could share, that would be great, because I think that's the side. It's okay, I hear about these opportunities, but how do I ask? How do I reach out to people that do want to invest in me or my business, or how exactly does that work? Yeah.
Well, if you just enter your name and email, no.
Yeah, right. I will send you a free ebook
in the whole world. I like to do that sometimes. If my friends like mistakenly interrupt me, I'll just mouth as if I'm talking, and then when they stop talking, I say, "And that's the secret of life."
I love it. It's like, what?
Yeah, or if they push the blender and I'm talking.
Right. Can you hold up on the smoothie, please? Yeah.
Yes. Smoothies are very important, though. So please interrupt me with your smoothies. That's very important. The two main solutions that are super important to me. And after I mention these two solutions, then I'm going to give everybody a challenge. So the first solution is for the people who are like, look, I'm ready. I know what I want to do. I'm going for it. And I have a little bit of a buffer, right? Maybe I have some savings. Maybe I'm still living at home. Maybe, with the parents or whatever. Or maybe I have a spouse that's taking care of the majority of the income. And that would be funding. And funding is basically broken down to a few different solutions. And again, as I mentioned, that covers two things. It covers up to 3 years of your personal expenses, like your mortgage or your rent, your bills, your gas, your groceries, your food, and your business expenses, like your marketing budget, paying to hire people, so that you do things the right way and not the wrong way, right? So that if you're, say, writing a book, that you don't just write the book and then you're done with the book and you have no clue what to do, but instead you have a full marketing budget, a full marketing strategy. You can pay a coach, you can, do whatever you have to do with that money. And of course, buy the gear you need if you're going to be on video, if you're going to be recording a podcast, you need good audio equipment to hire a good audio engineer. Maybe you need a virtual assistant, all these things that you need in order to do things the right way and not the wrong way. Right? And so funding comes down to a few things. One is a private investor. private investor is kind of like you see on Shark Tank, right? The person listens to your idea, and if they like it, they give you money, and if not, they don't. The other way is a grant. Usually these are government grants. There's so much money out there, especially right now, available for businesses to basically get your business off the ground. This is a little bit of a lower dollar amount, maybe from $10,000 to $30,000, sometimes higher than $30,000, whereas a private investor can be, millions. We've heard about all the infamous investments that have happened in the tech world, so to speak. So those are two options. And then, of course, if you already have an existing audience of any kind, then you can do crowd subscriptions, which is kind of like Kickstarter crowdfunding, but Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform, which is to start your thing, to get money one time to build something to put out there in the world. Whereas crowd subscriptions allows you to basically get someone to raise their hand and say, hey, I love what Leanne's doing. I'm going to go ahead and donate $50 to her Patreon account. Patreon.com is one of those websites that offers that solution. And then every single month, $50 comes out of my bank account and into your bank account for your passion, for your thing that you're doing. And so whichever of these three people are interested in, I think the main issue is people don't believe it's possible for them, right? And really it just comes down to two simple things. One, understanding the basic strategy, which I can, go over quickly here. And then two is having a robust pitch deck. And a pitch deck is kind of like a business plan, but it's a little bit more of a presentation. And it has to be these very specific sections. And that's why I have an online course for that. And basically what I do is I give you the pitch deck, and it's a fill in the blank template that allows you to fill everything out so that you have this really robust pitch deck. But basically it starts off in the very beginning with you explaining very clearly what your vision is and exciting people and transferring the enthusiasm to people. I want to do this amazing thing and I want to change the world and I'm going to make a difference and this is how I'm going to do it and this is what it's going to look like. And then at the end, you're doing the same thing, just getting people excited about your mission and your idea. And if it's with an investor, you're saying what your life is going to be like with them and how they're going to benefit. And if it's a government grant, that you're talking about how the community will benefit. And then in between that, it's just the financials. It's simply your marketing strategy, what your P&L balance sheet, your profit and loss is, if it's an existing business. If it's not an existing business, that it ends up being pretty much the same thing, but they're called financial projections. And a bunch of boring math, basically. But the idea is you have this tool now that you can hold in your hands that at any point in your life, you can use that tool to get money from other people, OPM, other people's money, term. Thing to pay for your rent, your bills, your mortgage, all those things that you need and all your project expenses to hire the right people so that you can thrive and do your thing. So that is investing, grants, and crowd subscriptions. And so that is one option. And then for the people who are like, you know what, that's great and all, but I'm a single parent household. I take care of my kids. I cannot quit my day job. Even if I get 3 years of income, I don't know if that'll be sustainable enough for me to raise my child and, sock money away for college and so on and so forth. So for those people, or people who just basically don't have any savings, another option is to do what I call the 3-day-a-week club. Now, the 3-day-a-week club is simply what it sounds like. 3 days a week. Actually, not what it sounds like. You have no clue what that means, what I'm talking about. 3-day-a-week club is so ominous. The 3-day-a-week club is when you work for someone else for 3 days a week, getting paid to do what you want to do. And then you spend the other 4 days of the week working on your passion. So for example, let's say you wanted to be in the NBA, be a basketball player. Well, if you could work for a company that is underneath the NBA, whether that be sports broadcaster, being a personal assistant for that sports broadcaster, or maybe you want to be an assistant for an actual player. Maybe you're an assistant for a college player, or an agent. You basically do the job where you get paid a full-time income to work 3 days a week, and then you spend the rest of your time on your passion. That way, you have a transitionary job, or maybe you'll end up loving it so much, and you're getting paid to learn what you would probably pay to learn. And then you spend the rest of your time on your passion.
Right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here because that sounds great. And have you helped people actually be able to do that, take a 5-day a week, 40-hour, a week job, bring it to 3 days so they can do that?
Yes, yeah, I've
Just
done it
on their
myself, and I've also helped other people do it. So the challenge that I have for people, and in answering your question, I do challenge people to text me. If you want to pull over, if you're driving or if you're somewhere, just grab a pen or pull out a notepad, and I'll give you that number. And like I said, I do have stuff for sale, and from time to time I do mention it. But this is really just a way for me to text people and give people motivational quotes and remind people of things and help them get to that 3-day-a-week club or to get investments. And that number is area code 310-807-1998. 310-807-1998. It's just a text message line, no phone calls. That'd be a little crazy.
Right.
But yeah, it's been really fun. It's been fun, giving away my number on YouTube ads, and
Wow.
doing all this fun stuff. So it's been a really fun process.